Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnetdale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnetdale. And welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast. Two queer wifey type women's.
Yeah, we're on it.
Two wifey types that are queer ones. We do a show. We talk about media, what we've consumed in the week.
Tasty media.
I didn't get quite the right words that I usually intro the show with, but we got the gist of it. Queer women wives.
Queer women wives.
Queer women wives. I think
Quimmy knives.
two quim knives.
Two Quimmy knives.
That's definitely words. We probably played stuff this week.
I would say we've definitely played stuff this week. Do you want to say a thing?
Yeah,
what you have played?
Sure. Let's start with the one we've both been playing this week. You've definitely played more of it than I have, but I've started playing it now.
Yeah.
Should we talk about Blueprints?
Yes, we should definitely talk about Blueprints.
Fascinating game, this.
It is. What if a puzzle game, like your rooms, your boxes, your doors, what if that was a roguelike game?
Yeah.
So you've got, rather than you've inherited a mansion, but you can only keep it if you can find the 46th room in this 45-room mansion.
Yeah.
Which implies that there is a time limit, although no time limit actually exists as far as I'm aware.
At least as far as game mechanics, it seems not.
Seemingly not.
Yeah. I feel like the conceit is ultimately, like, if at some point you go, fuck it, I can't find this stupid fucking room.
Yeah.
You have to give up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's if you stop coming to the house every single consecutive day, if you give up on today's another day in the mystery house.
Yeah.
Because this house's layout shifts.
Yeah, layout shifts. So you've got a grid of a house that you can basically lay rooms out into. You always start in the entrance hall. It is always pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah,
things can happen to make changes to that. But then you are, like, every time you open a door, you are presented with three choices.
Yeah.
And they might be any number of 45 possible rooms.
It's very reminiscent of if you're playing, like, a board game, something like Betrayal.
Betrayal, between two castles?
Yeah, you're sort of, you're revealing essentially, like, three square tiles that are different rooms, and that, importantly, have different numbers of entrances and exits, oriented on different walls, that have specific orientations they have to have.
Yeah, so you might just get a bedroom that has no exits to it.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because bedrooms will usually give you some extra stamina to make your journey longer.
Yeah.
But the less exits you have available overall, the less chance or the more chance you're going to have that your run is just going to get shut down.
Yeah, there's a few things that will end a run. Either getting to a point where there are no further available exits that you can use to keep exploring. Like, all of your exits either end in dead ends or
you run out of keys.
Smack into walls. Well, yeah, that's the second one, is some doors will require either keys to go through, or certain kinds of rooms will require gems in order to build, like, high-value rooms.
Yeah, usually you'll find when you're drafting your three possible rooms, the one on the far right will be some cost in gems in order to build. And some rooms are inherently quite expensive in gems, but there are combos you can do throughout the game that will make that more manageable.
Yeah, and you might get into a situation where it's like, oh, the only option I have when selecting rooms, the only one I can afford because I have no gems, is one that will cause a dead end for me. Or number of steps, and that is how many times you can cross the threshold between one room and the next. And that starts at 50. There are ways to get that number to go up, things that make it go down.
Yes, like if you find fruit throughout the mansion, like the pantry is one you find quite quickly.
Yeah.
And it's just a little room, and there's always 4 coins and a piece of fruit.
Yeah. And then generally, other than, like, rooms that do special things, it is trying to understand the placement rules of, like, you know, learning unstated things about the house, or cryptically stated things. So, like, you might start realizing, oh, certain rooms will only ever be in my pool of rooms that could appear if I'm on the very left-hand side of the grid.
Yes.
If I'm on the very west edge of the grid, a room that somewhere on a piece of paper was described as being in the west wing might now appear over there.
Yes.
or trying to be like, oh, I found a tool that might help me get past a certain kind of obstacle that might help me get to a certain kind of room.
Yeah. There's at least one room that you can only open if you're on the edge of the map and you have a particular key.
Yes. But then on top of this, you start discovering that there are quests, like puzzle-solving quest chains to be discovered throughout the house.
Yeah, like, it's interesting because I watched the latest GMCK video talking about this, and something that gets mentioned in there is that there is a huge post-game, and I guess that is kind of a thing. You're not really told what's post-game, what's current game, what's something you should be thinking about. And one thing I really appreciated with this is I stumbled upon a TikTok that was like, yes, it is important to make notes while playing the game. You will find things that is like, this is quite important information to know, go from there. But don't just start the game and write down every single thing you see in every single room. Firstly, you'll waste a lot of paper, and secondly, it won't mean anything.
The vibe I'm getting from what I've played so far is explore until you find something that looks like it is a puzzle. Not until you find something that looks like it might be a clue that helps solve a later puzzle, but until you find, like, oh, here's the board with a bunch of numbers in that, like, oh, that's probably something I'm trying to solve. Because then you know the kind of thing you're looking for in the house, and you can make notes that are working you toward a known puzzle, as opposed to collecting everything that might even vaguely be a clue without knowing what it's building towards. Because, like, you know, if one of the things I noticed really early on is how many, like, pencil drawings in frames there were around the house.
Yes, pretty much every room has 2 pencil drawings in it.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, am I going to list every single room, what pencil drawings there were, what wall they were on, were they on the same wall or different wall? Like, there's too many variables of, like, what, if that is a solution to a puzzle, what information in that is the important information? What I should probably do is wait until I see something and go, oh, that's probably what the hand-drawn pictures are about.
Yeah.
Now I know how to start doing notation that will be useful.
Exactly. There is, like, it, and the other thing is, like, it is definitely worth getting every room at least once. Because you could get to a point where you're like, I know what the most efficient rooms are, but you won't necessarily be able to work out how best to utilise those things. So it is worth just going, hey, look, we can call this run a write-off.
Yeah.
But I will have been in, like, the archives, because the archives is a red room. There are 8 red rooms to find in the game, and they almost always give you some negative. Like, there's one that halves your stamina for the rest of the day the first time you walk in there. One that takes away double the amount of stamina, because usually it's 1 stamina to walk into each room, and this one takes 2. There's one that just makes it, like, basically impossible to find certain things in the house anymore. And, like, they all give basically negative things. But, like, it is a case of, like, finding what those rules are and working out, is there a way to mitigate them? Is there something I can do with that? But all of the blue rooms, at least, will always have space for pictures. They will always have, seemingly, something else I've started to notice, I feel like most of the rooms have a chess piece in, I've only just realised. Because I've like, oh, there's a pawn over there, oh, there's a pawn over there. And at first I was like, oh, maybe there's just a pawns thing. No. And I was like, oh, that's definitely a knight. There's a bishop in the church appropriately. Yeah, like, there's stuff going on, and I'm like, I'm sure that's for some puzzle, but I don't know what that is. Like, there was one room I went into that I was like, yeah, it's not super important, doesn't feel like it's gonna, like, get me very far. Like, it's not gonna, like, make me a lot of progress, and I was like, I haven't picked it in ages, or ever. I should just, like, at least check it out once. And I walked in there, and there was, like, a chalkboard in there, like, as you walk in the room, and it goes, so you know that thing you've seen just about everywhere? This is what you're trying to get out of it, and this is the first part of how you put that into a wider puzzle. Because there had been a point where I was going, okay, I've noticed this thing, I've noticed how that relates, I'm going to start writing down every combination of that.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't making a note of where it existed within the mansion. Just maybe I can anagram all of these letters later on and work out what I'm getting from it. And then there's rooms like the library where you can request books, and then the next time the library comes back around, you can get a book out. And one of the books is just, here's hints on how to play the game better. Funny enough, that was the first book I got out. It's like, there's some really helpful stuff in there that isn't made super obvious by the game, but it is something I really appreciate. Being like, you don't have to go to a wiki to work out sort of mechanics you might not have been absolutely told about.
Yeah. And then this is all layered on top of things like, oh, I found a thing, and this thing is clearly for this one specific room. Do I understand enough about the game's logic to get that room to come up again while I have the thing? Because the thing I have might disappear at the end of a run if I don't do anything with it.
And that is a thing that has caused a lot of tension within the fan base. Because people have said, like, one of the biggest problems with this game is it doesn't necessarily feel like it respects your time the further you go on.
Yeah.
Because you could be hours of runs between, I worked out which two things I need to put together, and getting those two things on the same run.
There is a reason why, when I found the car keys, I had the car keys and the option to have the garage was there. I was like, I don't know when that's ever going to happen again. Much like I'm currently trying to find a boiler room before I find a lab. And I'm like, if I ever see those in the correct order, nothing else in the run matters.
Especially since the lab is a way lower tier room than the boiler room.
Yeah. So it's certain things you start going, if this happens, it needs to be like my biggest priority to do the other thing if I possibly can.
Yeah. And you also get used to the concept of it is best to fill out the map from the bottom to the top rather than just heading as straight north as possible. Because, like, firstly, it just gets harder and you might not have as many resources that you would have gathered at lower levels. But also the concept of, hey, look, I know that this is like a fairly mundane, like the spare room.
Yeah.
It's basically a corridor that's not called a corridor, but like just going, if I can get that out of the room, like if I can get that in off of the like the entrance hall, and go, cool, I've got the entrance hall, I've turned off the entrance hall, I've got the spare room there, and then I end it in like a bedroom or the utility closet.
Do rooms like that only ever show up once in the pool? If I build them once... Oh, I hadn't clicked this yet.
Yeah.
If I build an undesirable room early, like in a low floor, I don't have to worry, about it floating into it later. Oh, okay, that's really useful to understand. Again, and this is the thing, it's so much of this game is not about, like... So very little has felt like it's about the actual puzzles that need solving, at least in the early game. It's been about, like, having these moments of realization about the nature of the space.
Yes.
And like, now that I understand that, I can manipulate the choices I make around rooms a bit more effectively. Yeah. And that is super neat.
Yeah, it's great. I'm very much enjoying that. I've been so close to getting out of the antechamber multiple times. Like, I have on at least 2 separate occasions now gone, okay, I've like filled up the whole bottom of the house, bar maybe 1 or 2 bits that I just couldn't quite wangle the thing around. I've found a lever to open the antechamber door.
Is that the broken levers to do with?
No, this was just a lever I found on a wall.
Different lever. Okay.
Lever. Well, I had to solve a puzzle, but I solved the puzzle. I pulled the lever, and I was like, aha! I have opened one of the antechamber doors. Now, simply to build around to that antechamber door, and I assume that will be the end of at least the primary stated point of the game. And I have either run out of keys or just run out of stamina. Because we talked about like different ways you could end it. The other one is you just run out of steps. You start with 50 steps, 50 stamina, and if you run out, you basically call it a day. Which is frustrating when you're like, okay, it's my last step, I'll walk into this one last room and go, oh no, I didn't have a chance to look around it because I ran out of stamina.
Yes, it should be like, no, look around the room, but you were on 0 and tried to leave, it ends.
Yeah.
Fascinating little game.
It is.
This.
I'm really enjoying it, and I put it off for a couple of days as well. I was like, no, don't get it. Like, it's going to be stressful. It's probably going to eat your brain a bit.
I put it off because I was like, I wanted to get Clair Obscur out of the way, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But also, everything I'd heard about it was mind melting. You need to take notes puzzle game, and I was like, I don't know if I have that much brain in me right now.
Yeah,
and
I feel like that TikTok telling me not to bother taking notes until I knew what the puzzle was.
Really
saved me a lot of time.
The way a lot of people talked about it early put me off it and didn't really give me proper context for like, oh, it's not that intimidating to, without taking notes, just start paddling your feet in.
Yeah, because you sort of absorb the concept of these other little puzzles around you as you're going along, and without that pressure of I need to understand every single thing right now, it doesn't feel as overwhelming as it might otherwise do. With we're going to tell you almost nothing, we're going to throw you into this space, and we haven't even talked about the fact that you could just walk outside.
Yes, that too.
Because you've run out of things to do in the house. You could just go and wander around the grounds and see if there's something you can open or something you can work out. Like, there's a room where you can combine objects you've found, and I combined three items that seemed really fucking random. But luckily, I had, on a previous attempt, wandered outside the house and seen a thing and gone, ooh, that's interesting. And the description on this item just made me go, I have made a thing that will do something outside of the house.
Yes, fuck exploring the house right now. Use my steps, go outside, go do this thing.
I ran to the point of having, like, no... I think I ended up... Somehow I'd managed to have such a good run. I think I got, like, the sleep mask and a lot of bedrooms.
Yeah.
And I had basically got all the way to, like, the top layer. I hadn't got any of the things I needed to try and open an anti-chamber door, but still had like 40 steps left. And I was like, you know what, I'll just go and wander around the grounds and see if I can work out what to do with my new contraption. I have since found a second contraption that I could make, which is basically a small pocket laser.
Ooh.
But I couldn't work out what the fuck to do with it based on the description. And I am genuinely curious what I will have to do in order to make that do something. But then there's, like, also puzzles, because you talked earlier on about, like, why do I need to know what day I'm on if there's no time limit?
Yeah.
And
I've already seen one thing. I saw a piece of paper that said, a shop was going to be having a discount on, like, certain dates.
Yes.
Or something, and I'm
the commissary does have, like, a poster up, and it's just like, there'll be a discount on these dates.
I'm already assuming as a result of that, I don't know for certain, that there's going to be puzzles where it's like, part of the puzzle is, you have to find this room on a day ending in a 5 or something.
And I did find a puzzle that involved you knowing what day it is today, which meant you had to work out, remember the information or find the information about what day you entered the house, and how many days had elapsed from then, so that you could work out what day it was and roughly what time it was.
How many days had elapsed since you entered the house?
I think 13 at that point.
Ooh. This suggests you're staying in the house more than one day now?
No, not staying in the house. Like, you first entered the house.
Sorry. What day of the calendar... Sorry. Yes, so what the real-world date was, plus how many days you'd been in the house.
The real world in the game.
Yes,
day.
The real-world in-game date, plus how many exploration days you had done.
Yes.
Sorry, when you said what day it was and how many days you'd been in the you'd been in the house, I thought you meant this was day 42 of entering the house, plus I'd been in there for 6 days. I was like,
no,
you see where I was going.
No, this was day 13. I was still correctly camping in the grounds as I was supposed to. But blueprints. Interesting game. Very curious about what all of it do. What about you? You mentioned Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
I finished Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
And then you let right back in and played a whole bunch more.
I played a fair bit more of it just because I was trying to distract myself while doing hair bleaching and things that are uncomfortable sensory. Talking about, like, the main game of it, because I I could have kept... There's a whole bunch I still haven't done in that game, despite being so over-leveled that the final 3 bosses I one-shot. There's still so much optional content I haven't seen.
Yeah, the way you made it sound was like, yeah, I got to the final bosses and I was so overpowered I just walked up and went, bonk, nope, bonk,
I mean,
also nope to
basically,
you.
And it's not because I was over-leveled necessarily, but because I'd been having fun fucking around with, like, builds designed to kind of break the game.
Builds designed to break the game, and that had been nerfed that very morning, and you still one-shot the bosses?
I was playing... so there is a notoriously strong move that a character called Mael can use, that got a 70% damage reduction, and post-damage reduction I still one-hit kill the last 3 bosses, which was fucking great. It's why I'm loving this game. As I say, I could have played more of it if not for the fact that, like, I need to move on to other stuff because this is my job and I have to see other things, but also, like, I didn't want to run the risk of hanging on any longer and getting spoiled, because, like, I was dancing around people trying to spoil me on it. Beautiful, fascinating meditation on grief in its many forms and what it means to move on and to let go of grief for someone who has passed, and the ways people will try and hold on to their loved ones, even if it's not necessarily healthy at a certain point to do so. Without delving into the ending or endings, there is, mild spoilers, there is a choice to be made near the end. And I think they did a fantastic choice of, as confident as I was that I was making the correct choice, putting just enough in there for me to feel really conflicted about the costs involved in the choice. And, like, yes, this was definitely the right thing to do, and objectively what's happening is positive and happy, but there is just enough selfishness required to get where it's going that it really reminded me of, like, some of the more somber endings of Ghibli films in terms of, like, this is a happy ending that I can't feel entirely happy about, and, like, that weird sort of melancholy that can bring.
The complication of the human beings involved.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful story. I've been replaying it on stream, and the number of really nice bits of foreshadowing that happen in that plot that are so understated that, like, it's not even like, oh, that's hinting at something, but I don't know what. I won't know till... What are you getting at?
Yeah.
The number of things where it's like, oh, that entire scene meant nothing to me the first time around. Like, there is, like, one example very early on, very spoiler light. There's a big cuddly character that's, like, helps you swim across oceans and things, and the first time you meet them, they say to one of your party members, oh, the one that's not good at swimming. And it's like, oh, did you, like, you know, when you got separated from the group at the start, did you, like, you know, end up in the water or something and need help or something? And then many hours later, once you've stopped thinking about that one offhand comment, it's like, oh yeah, time to just, like, really dig into that thing. Should we talk about that thing that we didn't talk about? It's been so fascinating seeing the groundwork this game very deliberately lays throughout to point at where it's going in a very satisfying way. Nothing on a second playthrough has felt cheap or cheated to get to.
Yeah.
And in the post-game, there is plenty of stuff to, in some cases, provide me a challenge by just, like, nonsensically increasing the health numbers on enemies so I have stuff big enough to hit still. Versus giving me plenty of stuff to one-hit kill bonk and get items that will allow my damage to keep going up and up and up. I can currently do about 11 million damage on a single attack.
Is that all?
I've seen people doing in the billions.
I had heard of this. I wasn't sure if people were being hyperbolic.
No, I've seen a clip of someone who did 3 billion damage on an attack. I've yet to look at what other people's builds are and how they got to those points. I'm like, I'm just going to keep exploring my little build and see how far I can take this.
When are we going to start taxing the damage billionaires?
Clair Obscur. I would be very surprised if this was not right near the top of my discussions for Game of the Year this year. It is absolutely mechanically, visually, writing, acting, music, gameplay. In every regard, I have basically no problems with it.
Nice.
There is like one conversation right near the end of the game that I'm like a little bit, you could have worded that a little bit better. If that's the biggest complaint I have about a game like this when I finished it, I'm like, damn, this game is good.
Nice.
What about you? What have you been playing this week?
I have been playing more Crypt Custodian, and I'm pretty sure right near the end of it now. Like there was like a stated quest quite early on, which felt like this is gonna be the primary thing that leads to the ending, and my map has maybe 2 exits that I haven't been able to find a way around, and I feel that's maybe some sort of puzzly issue rather than something that is being hidden from me any other way. So I'm feeling like I could just go and do the end game stuff right now. What is really convenient is there is a place that is you can teleport to really easily. It was right near the beginning of the game, and there is just a store where you can buy map points telling you items you've missed. So if you feel like you want to go and get like extra things, you can just go and get those extra things, and
yay!
It's not gonna be too bad, really.
Hurrah!
Hurrah, indeed! So I very much appreciated that as a whole mechanic that I could do. And also just the fact that you just be like, give me 8 pointers on my map, I shall go and tick them off. It's been nice playing it on a handheld. It's felt like a game that you can very much just do a bit of an area and then just put down and walk away and not feel too bad about. It being a Metroidvania hasn't had like a huge amount of plot that I've had to like super focus on, and what plot there was can be largely recapped through the photographs that you've been finding along the way. Very much enjoying it. I've enjoyed the art style. I've enjoyed some of the boss designs. I have been terrible at it, but that hasn't really affected things. I'm sure you could probably play it on a higher difficulty level if you are better at those sorts of games and have a better time. But I've enjoyed it so far, and I will report back when I have finally finished it.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you played anything else?
Not that I can talk about currently. I know, I'm still playing all them secret things. Ocean Nat 20s, secrets.
Oh, heck.
What about you, though? You played anything else this week?
We played another mission in Frosthaven.
We did, yeah.
The campaign board game that comes in a box that just about fits in a couch.
A couple of missions.
Yeah, we've been we finally retired one of the people who had been playing as the same character since the very start. Which you're on your 3rd character, I'm on my 2nd, and very close to like ending that as well. One character is still on their 1st character. This other person hasn't decided which character they're going to be going forward, but they have now retired their 1st character.
In spoiler-like terms, I'm very much enjoying my 3rd character.
Yeah.
They are... The best way I can describe them is sort of like an interesting spin on a tank, but instead of being high defense and high health, it's... and I am aggroing everything to come attack me. It's a very different way of my character takes the damage and can survive doing that.
Kind of like a battery. Like a kinetic battery. Like, you store what is thrown at you and fire it back out.
As long as other people are near enough to me, it's like, hey, you got damaged? No, I got damaged. I got damaged? That'll let me do some cool shit, and then I'm good at healing myself. I'm not good at healing other people, but I can stop them taking damage in the first place, which is like kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Which has been like an interesting experience.
And I imagine that's going to become way more useful because at the moment you're already level 2. It's been a really wonky party, because we're playing like level 3 missions where we've had like one person at like level 9, one person at level 8, you at level 2, and now me at level 3, and it is just the case that like 2 of us have been retiring and one of us hasn't, but two of us hadn't, but like I'm very much enjoying the plot. I'm enjoying building up this little plucky town in the frozen lands. and stopping wars breaking up between local tribes and questioning charlatans who are trying to steal everything from the people and all of that good stuff. And it's a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
And I am glad that I ended up stumbling into the Haven franchise. We tried playing it this time with the ex-Haven assistant. This is the unofficial Frosthaven, Gloomhaven.
So much better than the real one.
Better than the Lucky Duck Games produced real app. For a start, it didn't crash. I ran out of power on my tablet at one point, but like it freed up so much table space because we weren't like tracking individual monsters on a sheet that could be easily knocked and potentially like shoot health all over the place. We could track the elements. The only thing that we were tracking ourselves were XP and health. And yeah, that was much more manageable, way less table space. And also very much enjoying the books for like laying out a session rather than using the like puzzle pieces to build the maps. The books are like a separate thing you have to buy if you want it, but I think as soon as it was announced, I was like, I have to get those. Because Gloomhaven draws the line, like, you can lay out a mission so quickly, just be like, we turn to this page and we play it.
Yeah.
This, like, you might have to get 3 or 4 separate books, like A3-sized books, and lay them out together. But that is it. That would have otherwise probably taken 15 minutes of, like, okay, find all the pieces, now find all the monsters, now find all the scenery that's got to go in the back of this. And I think and like another advantage of the playbooks laid out as they are is that the maps themselves feel more unique as opposed to being like pieced together out of these bits that you're constantly reusing. But I've very much been enjoying this. I think they've done a really good job, and I look forward to more quests. We are, maybe 2 or 3 weeks into our second summer.
We're slowly chipping away.
Yeah, we're slowly chipping away, but we've already booked in our next session to play. So
exactly, and we've got a big session available to us in a little while.
Yeah,
we're going to really sort of plough through some. Yeah.
Well, that's everything I've played.
Well then, time for this.
Worried about the state of the world?
Mm-hmm.
You need a change of scene?
Yeah, I could do with a holiday.
Not a change of scenery, a scene change.
What's that?
Sign up today and we'll fade out. Go to a title saying 3 months later and then fade back in to a peaceful utopia where all your needs are met. No one is left behind to suffer or starve. Somewhere it all worked out. The world has written itself into a downward spiral. Why not let an abrupt scene change and a complete change of tone and direction pick you up and set you right again? Check out the Plot Holes app today. Sign up and join us when we leave the wrong side of history in development hell. Plot Holes, fall in with a good crowd. Hey Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, it too warm? Question mark?
It's a little bit. It's been suddenly summer and I'm not quite ready for it.
What if not too warm?
Oh, that does sound pretty nice.
What if a cool 2 to 4 degrees centigrade?
That might be a little chilly, but sure, there are points today where I could have said yes to that.
It'll keep your milk at a sensible temperature.
I suppose so. What's your solution? Is it air conditioning?
This week's sponsor is Live-In Fridge.
Live-In Fridge?
.lol.net.
Aha!
Too warm in summer? We'll convert your home into a giant walk-in fridge.
Oh!
The electric bill might go up a smudge. Not you, kitty cat. No,
sorry, a smidge.
Not you. A smidge, not a smudge. But you sure won't be too warm. You'll be in 2 to 4 degrees.
I could leave the milk
Quality
in
control.
any room and it would probably be alright.
Exactly. And if that's too warm for you, even still, they have live-in freezer. .lol.net, where it's always cozy -20 to -18 degrees C.
I feel like a freezer of those temperatures that people are in, I think that's a morgue.
Wrap up warm.
Wrap up warm, don't make it a morgue.
.lol.net. Enter code Q&PS Ooh, nice and chilly. Ooh. And you can get 35% off a complete restructuring of your home. So, what else have you consumed?
It's not been a lot for watching new stuff, because I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. I'm deep in AA Showcase Town, and
You are.
that's a little all-consuming. But we watched a couple of things together.
Yeah.
We watched the newest Doctor Who episode, The Story and the Engine.
Yes.
Which, super fascinating episode.
Mm-hmm.
Without delving too much into it, we had some great... without delving too much into it, it is nice to see a counterpart story exploring the Doctor being black that is explored in a way that is counter to, like, earlier ones in this season that have been about the challenges that brings the Doctor.
Yeah.
It's nice to see one that was about community in some regards, and that was, about the Doctor having, like, hey, there are places I feel more comfortable as opposed to just, like, places that are going to be barriers.
Yes, this one takes place in Lagos.
Yeah.
And in a hairdresser's.
Yeah, his favourite hairdresser in Lagos, and it's... I love the use of the barbershop as a space for sharing stories as a narrative tool. And the visual aspect of how the stories were being visualised on the wall of the barbershop.
Yes.
Glorious.
Yeah, fascinating idea.
Yeah, some stunning outfits in this episode.
Yes, beautiful.
There's a few characters in particular who I was just, like, marvelling at their outfits the whole way through. That one major female character,
Yes.
such beautiful colour and intricate patterns going on in her outfit. Yeah, great episode. One of my favourites that there's been this season.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I very, very, very much enjoyed it, and nice to see trying to do something a bit different. And I guess that's something that you could only do with a Black Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love me a pink tinted gravel quarry, but just like being able to go, we have a Black Doctor. Let's tell some stories. Well, you could have always told stories in those places, but I don't think you could have told this specific story.
Yeah, because, like, obviously they're always very vague with the Doctor about, like, how long he has been each of his incarnations. Like, it's always kind
that's how Big Finish fills in the gap.
It's always been implied that, like, outside of the adventures you see the Doctor go on with companions in the TV show, he is spending long stretches of time as that version of the Doctor off-screen that we never see.
Yeah.
And this was a really nice one for, like, building a piece of culture that, like, this is a part of his identity that he's clearly built off screen over time in this new identity.
I have a favourite hairdresser now.
Yeah, I have a favourite hairdresser, and enough of a place, like, that's become enough of a thing to be, like, a safe place for me to go in between adventures.
Yeah, and I think, like, I've heard people talk about this, like, when they feel like they find a good hairdresser.
Yeah.
Because you're trusting someone with quite a prominent part of your look.
Yeah.
I've had friends who've had terrible haircuts and have just been, like, just wrecked about it for weeks.
The thing I really like is they make a point early on of going, like, the TARDIS can change your appearance, surely it could sort your hair out for you, and then being like, it's not explicitly stated, but, like, the unspoken thing is, part of it is for the experience. Like, it's not just for my hair will be done afterwards. It's, I'm going to get my hair done and that's an experience.
And I think that is true of, like getting your hair done or, like, any kind of, like, spa treatments.
Yeah.
It's as much about how you're being treated as the thing. And I say that's what it's like. For other people, I do not want to sit in front of a mirror where I have to look at make eye contact with myself and make small talk with someone I can't hear properly because of all the sounds of the salon.
Agreed. I'm too autistic for that shit. But I appreciate what it is for other people.
Yeah.
And, like, watching this, I can see the appeal, even if it's not for me.
Yeah, like, I heard someone talk about, like, the positive effects of acupuncture once. And they were saying, like, it's provably not the needles.
Yeah.
It is I have been treated, like, I have been, like, the focus, I've been, like, given an excuse to sit and relax. and like you've got all the oils and all the other stuff that is involved in that kind of thing, and like that is what's quite healing. The you being the focus and you having like
attention paid to you, care,
attention paid and care paid to you, and yeah, I would imagine other people get that from haircuts as well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one speech in this episode that I think is going to be like, it's going to be one of the ones that people remember Shooty's Doctor for.
Yes, it's going to be one of the ones that gets like clipped and they'll put like word balloons over the top.
It instantly made me think of like, this could end up being the clip that's the equivalent of like that one that everyone pulls up of Eccleston's Doctor meeting that first Dalek in the reboot, and the sort of emotional range he shows there. It felt like one of those performances. Like for Shooty, there's a couple of performances like that I would really point to. Like the one at the end of that episode with all the circle of screens is like a real goddamn, you pulled a great performance out of that. But like this episode really felt like it had one of those.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you been watching?
We have been watching some more Andor Season 2.
We've just finished episode 6.
I believe so, yeah.
Which I think means we're halfway through the season.
We're halfway there.
So yeah, how are you finding Season 2 of Andor so far?
I am enjoying it. I feel like it has pacing issues compared to the first season. We had quite an extensive conversation about this, like, directly after watching it. But I feel like this one felt less focused than season 1, especially at the beginning, because like pretty much as soon as Cassian joins the tiny rebel enclave, albeit as a mercenary initially, like we know exactly what the goal is, and we know like where it's going, and at the end of the episode, where that goal is completed, you go, well, we could end the season there. And then we tell, like, 2 other, like, really poignant stories as well. And it becomes some of the best television I've seen, and especially some of the best Star Wars. But this season has felt like, although it's had, like, really important things and it's been doing a lot of setup and stuff, and it has had a lot to say. I won't deny it has had a lot to say. It hasn't felt nearly as focused as season 1.
This is maybe splitting hairs as a distinction, but I'll say it regardless. I don't disagree that the start of season 2 has felt like it's been a little aimless and it's taken a little while to find its footing. My place of disagreement is more that I think season 1 of Andor was equally pretty aimless in its first, 3 episodes. And I think it's easy with season 1 because of how 75% of it was some of the greatest TV ever made. It's really easy to kind of skim over that it did take some time to find its footing. And I will say, I think it's fair to be harsher on season 2 taking time to find its footing, because, season 1 had to establish a world and a new setting and, get up to speed of, this is the thing. And I think it's easier to be forgiving of that taking time to find its footing than it is here, where it feels like it was a show that had momentum and has dropped back down and had to ramp itself back up in a way that, I think even if both have been similarly slow to find their footing, it's fair to be more critical of Season 2, because Season 2 has all the groundwork to just keep its momentum going.
Yeah, and I watched season 1 relatively recently because I had to spend a day dusting, so I just popped it on in the background while I was getting on with stuff. So I've seen it recently. I'm aware of how it was paced, but definitely I am feeling it more for this. But that's not to say I'm not going to watch the rest of it.
Yeah, and again, I think part of that is recently I've been very spoiled by Severance. Show that did an amazing job of taking its end of season 1 momentum and really riding it quite effectively into season 2.
Yeah, a lot of cliffhangers happening there.
Yeah, it didn't. You could have packaged seasons 1 and 2 of Severance as one thing, and it wouldn't have felt like there was an obvious slow down and rebuild up. And, like, something like that, obviously, I think does make me more critical of Season 2 of Andor's pacing, is I've just seen how well you can do a between seasons transition.
Hit the ground running.
Yeah. But again, much like Season 1 of Andor, the first couple of episodes being a little slow to find their footing, I think it's well worth sticking with, because, like, now it's starting to find its footing. Like, Episode 6 had some really good cinematography for, like, 2 very dramatic scenes, very tense, happening side by side, shot in such a way that, like, they worked very well together. Episodes 5 and 6 in particular have really gotten into some very interesting questions about how you run a rebellion, and the kind of risks you take, and the kind of choices that rebellion leadership might make that might kind of fuck up the stability of, like, the good established people they've got.
Yeah, it's felt like this has been, like, more of an analysis of the types of insurgents, like, groups that you get in any kind of rebellion. Not necessarily cohesive in any way, but, like, you've got, like, Saw Gerrera's group who are utterly ruthless, led entirely from the top.
Yeah.
And, like, no connections, no nothing, and anyone could be the next one to die at the whim of Saw Gerrera. And also, like, that whole plot has felt like, I wonder how this is going to tie into Rogue One. But then, like, we've got people, like, testing loyalty and testing faith, and, like, giving weird little challenges to people to, like, see, what would you, what are you doing?
The kind of shit that gets, like, loyal, committed people to the cause going, am I, like, I thought we were equals in this, and no, you're doing weird power plays, and, like, the kind of shit that, like, makes you doubt whether you were right to give as much as you've given. You've got, like, young, inexperienced, very eager to go factions with their problems of, like...
Yes, a faction who've, like, never been tested before, but feeling the immediacy of needing to do something right now.
We want to jump straight to the really difficult, really ambitious thing for our very first thing we try.
Because we are in imminent danger that we perhaps hadn't fully realised until quite recently. And then there's that quite easily forgotten group that we saw in the first 2 episodes, who literally fall apart in seconds, and seemingly have fucked up things in other areas.
Yeah, you've got factions formed of, like, oh, you're clearly here for different things, and the ways that, like, leadership will sort of patch it over of, like, you'll promise, like, not to do the thing that you're insisting we do, and to do the thing we're insisting you do, right?
Right.
And, like, the faith that differing, conflicting goals can be put aside long enough that it's not going to fuck up the cohesiveness of the plan.
Yeah, it has made me think about how people talk about leftist infighting a lot. It has sort of just floated to my mind repeatedly during this.
There have been points during Season 2 where I have felt very seen, as someone who has maybe had experiences with some leftist infighting in my time. It's great trying to organise.
It is.
Love trying to organise.
Yeah, I get it. Yep. But that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't keep trying.
No, but also...
Oh boy.
Whoever is on the writing team for this sure has probably been in some leftist circles where some shit's gone down.
Yeah.
You can feel some lived shit in here.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we really haven't investigated so far, as far as we know, is, like, where are they, like, Imperials who were infiltrating and have maybe started entire families with members of the rebellion?
I've been fucking watching for that shit. I have theories already. I have people I think are like...
Yeah, because like, the way the Greenpeace activists were treated in the UK in the 80s, the 70s and 80s and 90s is very much one that, like, is... Like, is this the only... This feels like the only one that hasn't happened yet. as far as we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much enjoying that. Have you watched it or anything else? Consumed anything else?
Not really. What about you?
I finished the audiobook of For Whom the Bell Tolls by J.C. Lynn.
How was that?
Oh!
Sounds like it was an emotional journey.
I was not ready. As I've talked about before, this comes from a TikTok series called Hell's Bells about a help desk in hell that is run by sarcastic people who, in their lifetime, basically got treated terribly in customer service and are using this as an opportunity to give people what for. But it also talks about things like religious trauma and religious guilt and the catharsis of just being able to lay into someone who is genuinely terrible. And then I would imagine from if you grew up in a more religious background, the catharsis of hey, it's not all how shouty pastors or preachers are talking about it. It's very often covered in the show that or in the TikTok series that the first couple of layers of hell are just there as therapy. You're gonna go down, you're gonna do some work, you're gonna work on yourself, and then you can reincarnate and you can try again and be a better person. But for worse people, there is a punishment with a chance for redemption. And the really bad people just go down to level 9. And this has been a really interesting story about the content warning for death and cancer. The main character within the first 2 chapters gets her diagnosis of cancer and dies and goes to the afterlife. And a whole part of where she ends up... Okay, it's the first 2 chapters, fuck it. She ends up with a paradise. For all of her religious trauma and all of the things that she thought she'd done terribly and was wrong for, she ultimately did end up in a paradise. But she is not someone who can just sit idly by. So she gets antsy and she finds herself wandering around, and one day her wandering around ends her up down in hell. And she just looks at what the intake process is for hell, and it's just you know what, I could maybe do a whole customer services thing here. And that is how the help desk starts out, and there's some quite sweet moments around going from a little temporary fold-out picnic table to, it's just hewn from the living rock. That wasn't hewn from the living rock yesterday. And that being the universe just does stuff. If it feels like you're part of this, then it will just include you. And the concept of universal acceptance in that respect, just the universe agrees that this is the right thing for me to do. That must be nice. Yeah. Just the assuredness that the thing you have thought to do or are attempting to do is accepted on a much bigger scale. The story will make you cry an awful lot. Yeah. There's even I haven't been through the religious trauma stuff, but there is a lot of stuff about the way 2 of the main characters are treated. And during their lifetime by religious authorities, usually in things quite beyond their control. Just oh god, this is tearing the soul out of me. Obviously, the first couple of chapters because of just accepting her own death and the fact that it is coming, and it would be pointless and in many ways harmful to try and fight it in the US healthcare system. And, a lot of that will just rip the heart out of you. And then, meanwhile, you've got Belath, who is a demon, who ends up falling for Lily. And, it's a beautiful story. There's an awful lot of sex in it. but like just the amount of it, like I hadn't expected nearly as much sex or any, but like it's quite graphic. It's definitely a romance novel. But also like it's really emotional. It's very sweet, and I've recently encountered people on Book Talk who are like, I knew nothing about this series, but apparently the fan base is very passionate, and I very much enjoyed the book. Entirely separated from that. So there you go. If you needed confirmation that you don't have to have watched any of the TikTok series to get it or whatever, it's right there. It's all good. Don't worry. And yeah, it's a really beautiful book. I am now super hyped for whenever the next one comes out, which is going to be about 2 other characters from that series. So yeah, I'm ready for more.
Yeah.
I will brave the sex scenes to get all of the beauty.
I believe in you. I think you can brave through them.
It's engaging, even if it's not necessarily my thing. Straight people having sex. What?
Ew.
I mean, I guess now I know how it works. I've had the demons and the not demons.
The heterosexual birds.
The heterosexual birds and beats talk. Weird, strange. Well, yeah. That's the thing. Have you consumed anything else?
No, that's it for me, really.
The only thing I've been consuming now that I've finished one audiobook, I've been listening to some Big Finish audio drama. This one is called Unit Nemesis. It is the a 4-part box set, and it came. I picked this one because we'd had a conversation while watching Doctor Who about just like how interesting it would be to watch a unit specific series.
Yeah, and then you were like, "Oh, that exists.
That exists." I haven't listened to any of it. Oh well, I've listened to I think it's like Unit Uncovered. I think I got in a Humble Bundle a while back. That I listened to. It was quite interesting stories. But this is I'm definitely finding this more engaging. This started recording around 2020, so it's perhaps not quite as polished, maybe. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not bad at all. Like, I've really enjoyed the stories, but you can sense the disconnection of the fact that everybody was recording in a soundproof cupboard at home, because they didn't have the ability to, like, go in and record at the studios. And the first box set is about an arch that is found underwater. And from this arch, it was like buried underwater under volcanic rock. But when people come into contact with it, it opens like an archway to another world. And the rest of the story becomes this overarching plot about this renegade Time Lord who is trying to get the Arch back and maybe do terrible things to the Earth. And Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, Osgood, who's still alive at this point. She didn't die to the Zygons, to the Digons, as it were.
No.
Which I was so sad when that happened, because Osgood was one of my favourite characters. But yeah, like she gets to exist and have extended stories and be an awesome science nerd, my favourite kind of person. And yeah, it's been a good story so far. I will avoid spoilers, but we've had characters from like Tom Baker era. And we've obviously had like a bunch of references to like Pertwee era stuff.
Yeah.
Some villains, because like occasionally there will be a story within a box set. The box sets are 4 stories each, and they will have like we've had stories about like various different characters that aren't necessarily the 11, who is like the primary antagonist, and just like stuff going on and globetrotting stuff. We've had Ice Warriors and what are they, Dominators? Not one I'd ever heard of before, but apparently they're quite an old enemy of the Doctor. And I think they do a really good job of being like, hey, this is just Unit. This isn't the Doctor.
Yeah.
but they're still doing their best, so it can be slightly less world-shattering, maybe, but also it might be quite potentially world-shattering. And they do a good job of managing to hold their own in their own ways. It's science!
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, having a good time with that.
Nice.
That's everything from me.
Well then, time for this.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, I snuck something past legal.
Oh, right.
I don't like the way they stare, but I snuck in late at night and I added something to the latest EULA.
Yeah.
And we got away with it.
Nice.
I put a little thing in there that basically just says, hello, you're not allowed to sue us.
By playing this game,
You agree-
waive the right.
To sue us, you have to do an arbitration where
arbitration.
we get to decide who judges the result, and that's always going to be in our favor.
Yeah, that's always going to be us in our favor.
And
We did nothing wrong. You suck.
Yeah, and people are simply blindly clicking it.
Well, yeah, because they can't play cool new Call of Duty game if they don't.
Exactly. So, turns out it's really easy to just put stuff in the EULA. No one reads it.
Yeah.
What else can we just shove in there?
Firstborn. They have to
Firstborn.
dedicate their firstborn. They have to raise it to a useful age and train it in coding and graphic design. And then they submit it to us, and we have the Eterno staff.
If they attempt to stop purchasing our software, maybe they don't buy like 3 installments in a row.
Right.
They're then required to name their next born child shall be named Call of Duty.
Yes. And they shall be forced to have Call of Duty tattooed on all visible parts of their body so that they will, people will know how good a company we are and how important it is.
That feels pretty enforceable. If you attempt to do hacking in the game, we can fire you into the sun.
The one that we adopted as a coder?
No, the big ball of fire in the sky.
Oh, yeah. I think that is going to work out perfectly. You are a fucking genius.
I know.
Welcome to the cyberpunk future. Here the nights are filled with low-energy LED lights. Body modifications are free to all, and we haven't just erased wheelchairs because of the previously mentioned body mods.
But what about all the cool hacking?
That's all here. The government department of ARGs creates systems to hack into for fun at high scores. Enter the latest ARG now, and you could get your name on the high scoreboard on the top of the biggest building in the future city.
What about all the corporations crushing the common people?
Why would you want that? Are you a corpo who wants to crush people?
No, just curious.
We don't do that. We just look cool and live in high-tech cities and try to get the high scores in the latest ARGs, or ride fast but extremely safe futuristic vehicles. Corporal perverts have to go into VR if they want to crush anyone, but only after a full psych evaluation and possibly therapy to understand why you feel the need to crush your fellow citizens. Cyberpunk future, welcome to the dystopian. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brochure Justice Warriors.
Brochure Justice Warriors?
Yeah. Alright, Larry.
Alright, Barry. How you doing?
Oh, my best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same. Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, you been up to much?
Oh, I've been learning about French labour unions recently.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know, a little bit out of nowhere.
Well, you never know what rabbit hole you're going to fall down.
Well, I was playing that Clair Obscur video game.
Well, yeah, very French.
Learning about how there was there's a phrase that the character used that came from a French labour union, and that's what led me down a rabbit hole of French labour unions.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Info rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But you got me thinking about different types of unions that exist, because the union that I was reading about happened to be one that was a multidisciplinary union. So
not like your VFX unions or your writers guilds, or your nurses. More of a generalised union,
something more akin to what people talk about when they talk about doing a general strike. It's having
Unite, isn't Unite a general?
A little bit, somewhat. It's the idea of having union solidarity, either that being one union that represents multiple industries, or separate unions that have agreements with each other to do stuff. Because, like, famously, there's one that you'll sometimes see in America, which is agreements between doctor and nurses unions and truckers unions. Because, like,
truckers very powerful.
They're very, very powerful, and very specifically, they know that, like, they can grind down logistics in a way that is very effective.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, doctors and nurses may not be able to as effectively refuse to do their job in order to do an effective strike because of the consequences to their patients.
Yeah, like, obviously you want to have, like, patient care in first position, so if you have the solidarity with, someone who can do something more logistical like that. I mean, in the UK, one of the most powerful ones has always been the farmers.
Yeah.
Especially, when they can get away with stuff that a lot of other protest groups might not be able to.
Exactly.
Like, Just Stop Oil, for example, might be considerably more punished for something that the farmers did 10 times worse.
Exactly, but like that's the thing. It's like the truckers can go. We can protest on your behalf when you can't.
Yeah.
Because we recognise that, like, we face similar. As unions of workers, we face similar things, and like,
we are united by this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like we're starting to see it happen in the US with. Video game unions, because like a lot of the ones that have early been popping up the last few years have been like the QA workers at this studio, and the this department of workers at this studio, and we're starting to see the formation of the first couple of unions that are like, regardless of which discipline you are in or which company you are at, if you are working in video games in the US, you can join this union, as long as you are not in a position that involves hiring or firing people. Meaning that, like, you are not, you are on that sort of entry rung of the company. You're not in the position that's like, you are not HR, you are not a hiring manager.
Right.
Broadly speaking, this is a union for, like, that entry level that does not have the power in their companies. And I'm like, this is the kind of thing you want to see, because, like, it means that you can do long-term sustained protests and work stoppages that, like, you could not afford to do just as one specific company. You can sort of, it offers up different kinds of power that, like, you can't necessarily accrue as easily with one very tailored union. It's not a one-fix solution for everything, but it's a thing that we need to see more of, is more unions that are more broad in their pools, but also solidarity between different unions working together on things.
Yeah, I've always felt that, like, it would probably be more beneficial if, like, the rail workers could be more generalised with other groups.
Yeah.
Benzo, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good old mate.
Good old.
Right, I think I'm going to go and have a little sit down in our dark room.
Oh, sounds lovely.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes?
please tell people where they find you thing.
You can find my stuff at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere. Laura K. Buzz on Blue Sky, TikTok, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. As little as $1 a month over there means I can keep doing all this shit. YouTube, Twitch, those are the places where you will find on Friday, the 6th of June at 4 p.m. UK, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, the Accessibility Summer Showcase for 2025.
Yay!
We got cool stuff happening this year for the showcase.
Yeah.
Just before recording Quirps, I got a cool email about a new exciting opportunity for the showcase this year. I can't say what that's going to be, but like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be front
Exciting
and
and new.
The showcase is going to be front and center for people to see. I can say that.
You can say that.
Yeah. What about you? Where are you at on the internet?
Me, I have a link tree, linktree.ee/Janiac, JANEIAC. You can find all of the things. You can also help support me at patreon.com/StoneMonkeyRadio. As little as $1 a month really helps out. That's it for me. Laura,
Yeah.
will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.